In March of 2017, an unknown person leaked some of the original map files for the Half-Life 2 episodes. Valve seems to be okay with Half-Life 2 beta content, so I will use this opportunity to take a look at the 2017 leak and give you a better insight into how the episode 2 maps evolved during development. Originally, episode 2 was supposed to start at the end of episode 1, where the player would see the destruction of the Citadel again. What is interesting is that the Citadel has a completely different model and actually explodes instead of just slowly fading out of your view. Now, before starting with the first level, let me give you a quick recap of what happens in the final version of the first map of episode 2. We wake up in a train, find Alex, look at City 17's destruction vista, watch a bridge get destroyed, shoot some zombies, solve a puzzle, talk with the gang, watch Alex get killed by a hunter, then a Vortigaunt shows up to save her, and then we fall down an elevator. Believe it or not, some of these concepts were already set in stone 18 months before the release. The leak has 10 different development versions of Outland 01, with the earliest one, Trailer Map 1, being from March of 2006. Remember that shot of Alex holding on for dear life? This is where it was recorded. No gameplay elements were included by this point, however, it looks like episode 2 was originally supposed to be a bit more foggy, and the layout of the map was also a bit different. The second version of Outland 01 is called Style Guide Vista. We start with an animation of Alex falling from a train, hanging on for dear life, and then falling to her death. The Freeman must get off the train by walking on a cliff, jumping in the water below, and then find the gravity gun on his own. By the looks of it, the City 17 destruction vista was always supposed to be one of the first things that the player sees after getting off the train. The portal storms seem to have been planned extremely early. What was not planned is everything else. Alex seems to be dead, and the player has to find a way to save her. The Vortigaunt picks her up, and yeah, the animations were still work in progress. The Freeman and the Vort go up an elevator and find a gate that must be opened by going into a building, completing a short puzzle, and then turning a valve. The Freeman falls down an elevator and gets into the Endlion Cave. What I find fascinating about this version of Outland 01 is just how dark it used to be. None of the other leaked maps have such a dark color palette, which makes me wonder, what if episode 2 ended up being dark and gritty? Outland 010 is next, and
Gordon!
My god, Valve! That is brutal. The gravity gun is now here, and you still have to jump in the water to get down. For some reason, the City 17 vista is gone. We find Alex, a Vortigaunt and a Rebel show up, and what the hell? The Rebel does not have a name, but I'm pretty sure he's either supposed to be Griggs or Sheckley from the final version. Anyway, the Valve Gate puzzle from earlier seems to have also been removed, which means the Freeman no longer falls down the elevator. Instead, the player just walks into the cave, and that is the end. Outland 01H and Outland 01 ISA are more or less the same, with a couple of small gameplay changes. So let's move on. The June 2006 edition of Outland 01 is where Valve started changing a lot of stuff. Alex dies, like usual, and everything up until finding her is the same. But then, a city scanner shows up, gets destroyed by a Vort, the Vort clears the way for us, Combine soldiers show up and must be dealt with, then the player has to get into a building and solve a very clever physics puzzle before getting in an elevator and going down the Endlion Cave. The July 2006 version of the map is almost identical, with the only difference being the puzzle inside the building, which was replaced with something a bit worse. Apparently, the playtesters were stupid and could not figure out a simple physics puzzle, which led to Valve having to change it. Moving on to September of 2006, Alex still dies, and I have to mention that the fall from the train is far more dangerous. Oh, and the Vista is back. As usual, we find Alex, but then some headcrabs show up and then the Vort saves her. I am guessing this is what inspired the scene in the final build where the Vort saves Alex from the Endlion. No idea why, but the developers decided to go back to the old level geometry from the Style Guide Vista version of the map, aka the one where you have to get into a building, open a gate using a valve, and then fall down into the Endlion Cave. The cave seems to be a bit bigger and even includes a part that is in the final release. And lastly, Outland 01 from October of 2006. Alex dies again, the train fall seems to be a lot less dangerous, a headcrab shell was added here to show where the headcrabs came from, and everything else is the same, except for the Vort, who might be having a little bit too much fun. Okay, Outland 02. The leak only has one version of it, but do not worry, it is way more than enough. The way things play out is very different. You see, in the beta, Outland 01 goes straight into Outland 02, but in retail, Outland 01 goes into Outland 01A, which happens to have a similar layout to Outland 03 from the beta. So for comparison purposes, I will skip Outland 01A for now and will compare it to Outland 03 a bit later. For reference, in episode 2, during Outland 02, the Freeman drops down from the ceiling, meets two dumbasses, fights a bunch of antlions, 3 Vortigons show up, a big battle starts, one of the Vorts tells Freeman they need to get an antlion extract to heal Alex, they leave, get the extract from another map, come back to Outland 02, heal Alex, G-Man then interrupts with a speech, and then Alex, Gordon and the Vortigaunt go up the elevator. The beta was a bit different. Instead of dropping from the ceiling, we used this entrance, which by the way was completely cut. The tower defense section is also very different. There are way more antlions coming out of the holes, we get 3 turrets instead of 2, the turrets cannot break, and also instead of hoppers, the game gives the player gas cans to throw at the enemies. 3 Vortigons still drop from the ceiling and we still get the big battle, but Alex gets healed instantly without the need of the extract. A combined dropship finds our location, and instead of going up like in retail, the elevator goes down and proceeds to crash. There is even this part that got completely cut. Like mentioned, the Outland 03 map layout used in the beta uses the Outland 01A layout used in retail. In the retail version, the Freeman must drop in the cave, drop down a hole, get introduced to the antlion worker, drop down another hole, kill a bunch of antlion workers in a big cave, go underwater to get past an obstacle, fight a few more antlions and load into the next map. In the beta, because Alex was already healed by this point, her and the Vortigaunt are with us. We drop where the antlion workers get introduced, but instead of just a couple of antlions ambushing us, it's like a million of them. There is no second drop down like in retail. The player can just get to the big cave instantly. The underwater section from retail is also not present, probably because Alex and the Vort cannot swim. After the first half of Outland 03, the beta transitions into the layout used in retail. Basically, the retail Outland 01A and Outland 03 maps use map layouts from the beta Outland 03. Outland 03 from the beta was too big and had to be cut into 2 parts. So for the second part of Outland 03 beta, I will be comparing it to the actual Outland 03 from retail. In retail, the Freeman fights more antlions, breaks some wood to open a gate, solves a puzzle, the Vort opens a gate, Freeman almost dies 2 times, goes back into the cave, finds this location, fights a bunch of dumbasses, gets on the elevator, moves obstacles out of the way to open a door, gets a glimpse at the antlion guard, and then Outland 04 loads in. In the beta, the Freeman fights antlions in a cave, breaks some wood to open a gate, just like in the retail, but here there's no valve puzzle. A lot of antlions ambush us, Freeman almost dies, but not 2 times, only once, goes back into the cave, finds this location, protects Alex while she tries opening a gate, moves obstacles out of the way to open a door, gets ambushed by a million antlions, gets a glimpse at the antlion guard, walks into a room that was removed from retail, and Outland 04 loads in. In retail, Outland 04 starts with the Vort asking us to jump here, get into a cave, spend around 5 minutes running away from the antlion guard, fix the elevator by placing a prop here, wait for the Vort to come down and get the extract, and then go back with him to heal Alex. In the beta Outland 04, Alex is already with us, but the Vort still wants to drop down, get to this part which was removed from retail, spend 5 minutes running away from the antlion guard, get here and fix the elevator, which has a bit more complicated puzzle. Instead of just taking a prop and then putting it here, there are 2 generators here, which need to be turned on by using the gravity gun. The problem is that it's extremely difficult to find the prop. I found it by complete accident. The Vort does not come down to get the extract, but instead, everyone goes up the elevator and that is it. Alright, now Outland 05, one of the first maps made for episode 2. We have 10 different leaked versions, so get ready. In retail, Outland 05 starts with the Freeman, Alex and the Vort finally getting back to the surface and noticing the big Combine army heading to White Forest. They fight more antlions and the player has to fight an antlion guard and an antlion guardian at the same time. After that, the Freeman fixes the elevator and everyone goes up. Development for Outland 05 started, although way back in 2005, which is why the name of the first version of it is Canyon Test. Honestly, I love how everything looks. The Half-Life 2 assets combined with that skybox and the structures in the distance give me a Half-Life 2 beta vibe. The map is unfinished, but funnily enough has the same layout used in the retail. Version 2 is from June of 2006, and the name used is Outland 05A, which is interesting considering there is no Outland 05B. The Combine army is present, but no advisor pods can be seen. The color palette is made of a bunch of brown and green, which in my opinion looks awesome. The double antline guard boss battle seems to have been planned from the beginning, so I'm not gonna mention it too much. Something else that was planned was having a citizen lower the elevator for us. No idea what his name is, but he has the same model as the first citizen we see in Half-Life 2, which maybe was supposed to be a thing at some point. Maybe the developers wanted to make that guy a character. No idea. Fun fact, there was a lot more detail in the distance in the beta version. Look at the number of structures and buildings compared to retail. In my opinion, they were probably cut due to performance issues. Next is episode 2, Demo Canyon, which features no gameplay. The only big change is that the skybox is now blue instead of white. Version 4 is from October of 2006, and the citizen elevator section was replaced with an extremely slow turn the valve puzzle. Also, the Combine bridge part is completely broken. November 2006. Advisor pods finally got implemented and can fly exactly like in episode 1's ending. Not sure why Valve retconned their own episode 1 year after release, but in the final version the pods cannot fly at all. Why would you make them fly in the beta but not in retail? December of 2006. The advisor pods can still fly and even have wings now. No idea who was in charge of the level design, but what kind of goofy ass idea is this? And why is there a headcrab stuck in a hole? The next one is a map from the same day. The only difference is at the elevator puzzle. The slow valve puzzle is still there, but you also have to go up a ladder, unstuck the elevator and... You also have to go up a ladder, unstuck the elevator and... Man, what is happening? Version 8 of Outland 05 is from January of 2007. The advisor pod now has some flying effect, which is similar to what was used back in episode 1. The stupid supply caches are still here, and one of the mappers decided to put a supply crate on top of the cache. Something that I have not mentioned yet is just how much the terrain changes in every version. We go from the map having a lot of holes in it, looking like a war zone, to everything being mostly flat. The puzzle is the same, but a dead citizen was added here, and now a crowbar is blocking the elevator. Oh, and obviously the elevator no longer sends the player flying. April 2007. The big vista finally got implemented, and the advisor pod no longer flies. Why, Valve? Why? Thankfully, they also decided to remove the stupid supply cache, and the boring valve puzzle has been replaced with a generator that can only be activated by the Vort. One of the weirdest changes is that this specific ladder was moved from the right to the left of the elevator. Why? No idea. At least the dead citizen is a bit more beautiful. Now, the last version of Outland 05 is from May of 2007. A light was added here for better visibility, I guess, and the crowbar that was stuck in the elevator was replaced with a pickaxe. A question that has always bugged me is how Alex was able to jump off here without hurting herself, considering she just got revived after being impaled by a hunter. The drop has been present since at least December of 2006, yet no one at Valve decided to remove it. Could this be an oversight? Maybe. If so, then Valve, please fix. Next we have Outland 06. In retail, the Freeman is given the task of getting to the muscle car. He sees G-Man stalking him from a bridge, spends a few minutes getting through a bunch of zombies, while Alex tries protecting him with a sniper rifle, gets into a big zombie ambush, completes a puzzle, does some platforming to avoid touching toxic goo, gets to the car, pushes cars off a bridge, drives the car to the other side, picks up Alex, and drives off. The story and map layout for Outland 06 was pretty much the same in the beta, but I think it's a good idea to look at all 8 versions of the map just to get an idea of what Valve was thinking during development. Trailer map 8 is from July of 2006 and does not feature any gameplay. There is no G-Man sighting yet, and instead of showing the car using a Combine screen, the game uses the Combine binoculars that were only used like once in the entire Half-Life 2 campaign. Alex's sniper rifle seems to be a bit unfinished. Surprisingly, the first 5 minutes of gameplay are the same as in Retail. Some differences are that the room with the barnacles is not yet on fire, the section where the Freeman gets ambushed by the zombies is not present at all, the drop down here is a bit different, and my most favorite one, the toxic goo section was extremely foggy, which again shows that the direction for episode 2 might have been a bit different in 2006. One of the most controversial changes is the car. In Retail, you get a nice muscle car, which seems to have been inspired by the 1969 Dodge Charger. In the beta, the car used to be called the Jalopy and looked a lot like the buggy from Half-Life 2. The Jalopy seems to have been built on top of an old Volkswagen Beetle and is mostly made of trash. Apparently, the playtesters were very disappointed with how it looked, and that led to Valve having to change its design. Staying on the topic of the Jalopy, 3 of the leaked maps, Jeep Cow Puncher, Jeep Zombie Baseball, and Jeep Zombie Zapper, show that the car was originally supposed to have some kind of weapon attached to it. One could push zombies, one could slap them, and the other one could electrocute them. Version 2 of Outland 06 now has NPCs, but the G-Man is still not on the bridge. A gameplay element that got cut from episode 2 is this, I don't even know what to call it, but basically, let's say gas propeller that could be shot by Alex to blow up zombies. This room seems to be an early version of the zombie ambush section from episode 2. Also, unfortunately, the fog was removed from the platforming section. Version 3 still does not feature a G-Man sighting. Valve probably only puts these in when a map is close to being finished, just like in the Half-Life 2 beta. Now to something a bit different, we have Proto-Zombie, a concept for what would become the big zombie ambush in episode 2. Valve liked the prototype so much that the Retail version is almost identical. Outland 06 from December of 2006. A combined screen and a new fence have been added. G-Man is also finally here. The zombie ambush area has been implemented, Alex's sniper has a better model, and yeah. February 2007. A fire has been added in the Barnacle room, Valve decided to remove the gas propeller thing, the Vista is back, and Alex is very sad about the state of the car she is in. 6 months before release, we got Test Holdout. The G-Man can be seen on the combined screen, and it's very creepy. April 16th, 2007. Alex is no longer sad. Yay! One thing I have not mentioned yet is the interior of this house, mostly because I wanted to share just how many versions it went through. At first, the interior did not even exist, and the house had a bunch of missing textures. An interior then gets added, and inside we can find a dead zombie, a dead citizen, and a radio. Usually, whenever Valve places a radio somewhere, it means that the NPCs who are dead near the radio probably communicated with the player at some point. So maybe episode 2 was supposed to have more citizen characters, but then they all got removed because I don't know. Anyway, in the next version, the dead NPCs are replaced with 2 rebels who might be referencing the counseling couple from Half-Life 2. The radio then gets removed, and in Retail, the female rebel gets replaced with a male one. One last change is at the bridge. Originally, there was no ladder here, and the player had to pretty much do platforming to get to the other side. Outland 06A. In Retail, we drive on the street, take a left turn, drive through the forest, find a couple of buildings, complete a plug puzzle, hunters show up, we kill them, talk with Magnuson, lose connection, and leave. The first prototype is called Trailer Map 5. It's very bare bones, but by the looks of it, one of the first things made for Outland 06A was the building where we talk to Magnuson in Retail. Prototype 2 is from June of 2006. You drive on a street, and the street looks a lot like Highway 17, mostly because of the Half-Life 2 assets. My only curiosity is why these big buildings are in the background. Was the player supposed to see another city in episode 2 or episode 3? Some driving later, the Freeman and Alex find a couple of buildings and must get in by turning on the electricity. Alex talks with Magnuson, the power shuts off, and the Freeman must fix it by going through a vent and turning it back on. Hunters appear out of nowhere and ambush us. We get in the car, drive past some obstacles, and drive off. Version 3 is from 10 days later and has a completely different layout. Alex says to get to the radio tower, and the Freeman must drive to a very dark and gritty forest to get to the building. Here, the player was supposed to see Alex's reaction to the Vista, because, you know, she was dead beforehand and did not have a chance to see it. She talks to Magnuson, the power turns off, same story, but now we do not have to take another route because there's no truck blocking the road. road. Style Guide Radio Tower from July of 2006 does not make any special changes, so skip. By August of 2006, Outland 06A was slowly starting to turn into how it would be in episode 2. You drive on the street, take a left like in Retail, reach the building and stop because the path is blocked by a gate. For some reason, the entrance here gets opened again, and you even get a hunter sighting, which probably inspired the other hunter sightings in the final build. Speaking of the hunters, in the beta the only way to hurt them was by either using explosives, using the crossbow, throwing props at them, or running them over. Valve ended up changing it so they could also be hurt by bullets. Alex talks, blah 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 blah, power cuts off, Freeman investigates, blah 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 blah, and to be honest, every version plays out in a similar fashion, so I will try not wasting your time and just give you a quick summary of the changes. What Valve seems to struggle with is not including a Valve puzzle in every single map. They redesigned this puzzle countless times. First it looked like this, then like this, and then like this. And one of the maps even includes a second Valve puzzle because why not? Outland 07. In Retail, the Freeman and Alex Vance find a crashed advisor pod, go into a building, wake up an advisor, almost die, the advisor flies away, Combine show up, the Freeman and Alex drive away, a helicopter chases them, and then they go into a tunnel. In March of 2006, everything was extremely broken. The structure here is just copied from Half-Life 2, and the advisor scene does not seem to work. There was supposed to be a Combine APC waiting for the player here. Outland 07, July 2006. You spawn near the building, and the Combine helicopter just happens to be there. Valve added some Strider remains here, which were obviously later replaced with the crashed advisor pod. The original plan was for the Freeman to unplug some plugs, and then the advisor would fly away. Also, there was no Combine ambush. Only the APC and the helicopter would be following us. August 2006. Episode 2, Demo Driving. As the name suggests, the whole purpose of the map was to test the driving. Why was that removed? The APC is no longer here, and instead of waiting until the next map, a fast zombie jumps on our car. December 2006. Advisor Prototype Battle. That's right, episode 2 was supposed to have a physics-based advisor boss battle, where the advisor would be able to pick up props near him and throw them at the player. The more damage you deal to him, the angrier he gets and more props he throws. In the end, he flies away. The last leaked version of Outland 07 is from February of 2007. The advisor pod has been added, but is not destroyed like in the Retail. Going to the advisor, the boss battle prototype unfortunately never got past its prototype phase. The animation used for the cutscene has some similarities to episode 2, the nice looking blue effect has been completely removed, and we were originally supposed to get a different angle of the advisor flying away. Combine ambush us and everything else is the same. In the Retail, Outland 08 starts with us crashing into things, driving away from the helicopter, finding a rebel outpost, crashing the car, destroying the helicopter, and then going into a garage. As for the beta, well, even though only one version of Outland 08 ended up being leaked, the leak reveals that everything about this map was different. When finding the rebel outpost, a rebel shoots down the helicopter instantly and invites us in. We are greeted by a guy named Nigel, who wants us to go destroy a gate using a train. The map was originally supposed to take place in a train station. First you have to go up here, jump on the trains, turn on the electricity, get into a train, solve a puzzle that is exactly like something you would see in On a Rail in Half-Life 1, ride the train and crash it into a wall before getting back into the car and driving away. Unfortunately, Outland 09, 10, 10A and 11 are not present in the leak. Luckily, Trailer Map 11 has a part of what would later become Outland 11A and Outland 11B. In Retail, White Forest gets ambushed by the Combine and a silo door must be sealed off to keep them out. You fight hunters, soldiers and turrets, and after closing the door, Alex, a Vortigaunt and a rebel show up and lead us to the gang. Everyone watches the Judith transmission, find out about the Borealis, the G-Man controls Alex, and everything else is not really relevant for the comparison. In the beta, it seems Outland 11 would start with the Judith transmission, but have no mention of the Borealis or Alex telling Eli to prepare for unforeseen consequences. The room is also in a whole different part of White Forest. In Retail, the room is close to the entrance. Here, however, it's below Magnuson's big rocket. After watching the transmission, the Freeman leaves and The Combine ambushes White Forest and the Freeman has to close the silo door. Some of the rooms used here seem to have the same concept used in the final build, like the corridor with the turret, the face-to-face hunter battle, and even going up the ladder to go to the silo door. Outland 12. I don't think you need a long explanation for this one. Basically, the Freeman has to protect White Forest from a million Striders and Hunters. Do not get fooled by the name of the first version. Prototype Final number 1 does not mean it's the final prototype. It means it's a prototype for the final battle. The concept is the same as in the retail, but the map layout is completely different. Something that needs to be mentioned is that in prototype number 2, the weather is rainy and the hunters can get wet. The final battle also lasts much longer, 25 minutes to be exact. There used to be a very big pool of water in the middle of the map, which was very annoying and ended up being removed. Valve was also playing with the concept of bringing back Odessa Cabbage. Prototype number 3 is the same, but some Overwatch soldiers ambush the player in the forest before starting the actual final battle. Pretty sure this is exactly where the awesome hunter clip from the trailer was recorded. Episode 2 Demo Strider is a bit weird. Valve used this map to record a gameplay demo. What is funny is what is going on in the parts of the map that are not shown to the viewer. The mountains and the trees are shooting at each other. In the beta, the final battle was supposed to have Vortigons and Combine Overwatch soldiers, but all of them ended up being removed, probably to make things a bit less complicated. Lastly, Outland 12 from October of 2006.
Freeman, Striders are coming.
Yeah, the map starts with the introduction of the Magnuson device. The device the Magnuson device was created in looked a bit different in the beta. Freeman, just go up that ladder there. Oh my god, it's Odessa Cabbage. I am guessing the only reason he got removed is because Valve did not want him to die. Either way, the final battle is very similar to retail, except for a few small things, like the hunters not being able to destroy the Magnuson devices, and the car not having a radar or a tracker, which made it a lot more difficult to find Magnuson devices and find the car after fighting something on foot. Outland 12A, time for the ending. Unfortunately, the scripted sequences do not seem to work, but the player was always supposed to shoot a rocket into space. Now, here's a plot twist. Originally, episode 2 would end with the Freeman getting into the helicopter and flying away. Knowing Valve, however, the helicopter would most likely crash and that would be the actual ending. Now wait, do not close the video yet, you're gonna miss some interesting stuff. First, here are some scripted sequences that were used for the trailer. Be aware that some of them are broken. Second, before I get to the main event, Valve had a particle benchmark and a particle zoom map, where a lot of cool looking effects would appear on the screen. Now what is interesting is that almost none of these effects actually appear in episode 2, which makes me wonder if these, particle benchmark tests were actually for episode 3. On to the main event, the last map I want to showcase is Demo Blob. The Blob NPC might sound very familiar to those who watched Half-Life 2's 20th anniversary documentary, or those who just know everything about Half-Life. What you are seeing on the screen is a concept for the Blob. Do not let the snarks fool you. All of them only count as one single entity. The entity can detect surfaces, can dynamically interact with environments, have physics integration, can create a Half-Life logo, and eat an NPC alive. Oh, but yeah, I mean, I do not see how episode 3 pushes anything forward. Yeah, thanks Gabe. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.